the most merciful, the truthful, and the most just. I greet all of you once again who have the sincere hunger and thirst for truth and righteousness. I greet you all with the greeting words of peace from the Lord of the worlds, the God of peace, Almighty Allah. May Allah's salam alaikum. I uh, I wanted to say that before I get started, uh, does anyone have something they want to take me to task about? Something that I have taught or said? Uh, you are welcome. You are welcome to, at this time, present what you may deem problematic for you that I have said, and I welcome you to question me on it, or to, express your disagreement. I don't like to break people's peace. It breaks my peace if a person is speaking and I'm listening and the conversation is one way, that I'm not able to give them some feedback on what I may disagree with them on, or may want to question them on, because, you will always lose your listeners if you speak in a way that they do not understand, or if they disagree with you, they don't actually have a means of expressing it to you. People don't tend to want to listen to things, listen to a one-sided. I don't like speeches. If you're going to talk to me, I would much rather you just talk to me, because that way, if you're making a speech, then actually, when you make a speech, you're not actually, in truth, you're not actually speaking to people. You are speaking to your idea of people. And I like to talk directly to people. And so I take it that no one has anything they want to take me to task about. So I'm going to go on and explain some other things to you. I didn't finish telling you why I took up the defense in this public forum. I didn't finish telling you why I took up that defense of Dr. Bill Cosby. And I think that I need to make clear to you why I did it. It is I want you to hear something here. When pardon me a moment. I'm trying to find something on YouTube so that I can have a time frame on when this happened. Let's see if I can find it. Um, and I think it was on Fox News. So you all be patient with me. Thought I had it. Thought I might could go straight to it, like on this, and we we have many things that that we gloss over, and the Holy Quran teaches me that when an unrighteous person, and that's just anyone other than a messenger of God, because the scripture says there's none righteous, no, not one. So if an unrighteous person brings you news, look carefully into it, lest you harm a people and later be sorry for what you did. You'll be full of regret. And even though you may blame the liar, you have to accept some of the blame yourself. Because before you ran with a story that was brought to you, you should have checked it as best you could before buying it and running and relaying it yourself. And so I wanted you to see this, because you know what makes people ungrateful? If a person can throw kindnesses and kindness and generosities and good deeds that you did for them, if they can throw it out of their memory, throw it out of their mind, or file it back, then they can justify showing ingratitude. They can justify being ungrateful, because in their heart, they can, to themselves, they deceive themselves. Because whether you remember the good that a person did for you or not, Allah knows what people have did. And he's going to hold me accountable, not for how you treated me. He's going to hold me accountable for how I treated you. That is the wonderful thing, that I'm not responsible for what you do. I'm only responsible for what I do. So, I'm the kind of person that if you get out in front of a crowd of people and are not ashamed to recognize, especially a crowd of people that don't particularly care about me. And you could be a stranger to me, but if I see you, you may know some things about me that I may not know about you, or I may just be a stranger to you. And you speak up for me. I couldn't rest if I watch that same crowd turn on you, and I just didn't own up to you. I just can't do that. I have to acknowledge people that acknowledge me. That's incumbent upon any man. When a person shows themselves to be your friend, a friend don't have to be somebody that you've known all your life. A friend can be someone that you just met. People show themselves to be friends or enemies to you through their deeds and actions. Even this world, the children of this world have a saying: the friend of my friend is my friend. That's not just something that you snatch out of thin air. When you accept God's messenger and befriend God's messenger, you haven't met with God, but he treats you as though you have met with him, because he that receives his messenger receives him. And he treats you as his friend because you befriended that one that he sent. So I wanted to lay this out to you and make sure that you understand that I'm not, Brother Derek, is there any way you can pull this up and play it on YouTube? If not, it's no problem. They can hear the sound and they'll know.
What we could do though is since they can hear the sound here, so you got your HDMI mic here,
yeah,
get up here and play camera.
Well, I don't have my cable. I don't have my cable. I thought I left it here with you. That was yours. It's no big thing. They can hear the people can hear the statement because I've played it for them before.
What is it on YouTube?
It's called Alan West Reacts to Bill Cosby's pro-Muslim post. And so I wanted you all to hear these things. So just give me a minute here. See if I can get this thing to play. So I wanted you to hear why I, what helped to make me, and this was posted on let me make sure that I got the dates correct here. This was posted on you all pardon me. It was posted on, let me pull it down there. Published on June 11th, 2013. Now, I don't know exactly when the interview took place, but I know that Dr. Cosby had some positive things to say about Muslims. And, you know, as I found this online, I don't know why I'm not getting any sound here. Just a moment.
Well, like Muslims.
Yeah.
You go, quote, I'm a Christian.
Oh, no. You all pardon me a moment. Trying to find out why I'm not getting this through my speakers here. I wanted you to hear this. Let's try it again.
They're women, they command respect, and what are these other people? They criticize them.
I don't seem to be getting any power. Oh, no wonder. Okay. I see what the problem is. My bad. Let's see here. I'll get it straight in a minute. There. Okay. So I want y'all to hear this. And I've actually never heard, I had never heard any of those who have gained fame in this society, Black people especially, come out and make the kind of forceful acknowledgement that Dr. Cosby made. And I really appreciated it. Now let's see here. Still not playing. Yeah.
I mean, we do have it up here. We can bring that up, but it would be either or. You or you. So we can bring it up on it.
Okay. Okay, let's she's giving me some speakers here. I'm gonna see if this oh, put it in the you mean the speaker area. Okay, let's see here. Just a moment. No, it's still not giving this to me. Let me find out why this thing is doing this. I think it's my computer. That's what I'm doing, and it's up. But let me check these other devices. You know, sometimes things don't. Let's see. You all give me a moment here, and I should have it under control in a minute. Let's see. we I like to make sure that I make people understand why I do the things I do. And if
Welcome back to Hannity. Now, over the weekend, outspoken comedian Bill Cosby authored a controversial opinion piece in the New York Post about the flaws of American communities today. And the former star of The Cosby Show, he's raising eyebrows for the op-ed. And welcome back to Hannity. Now, over the weekend, outspoken comedian Bill Cosby authored a controversial opinion piece in the New York Post about the flaws of American communities today. And the former star of The Cosby Show, he's raising eyebrows for the op-ed in which he says we should all be more like Muslims. He wrote, quote, "I'm a Christian, but Muslims are misunderstood, intentionally misunderstood. We should all be more like them. They make sense, especially with their children. There's no other group like the Black Muslims who put so much effort into teaching children the right things. They don't smoke, they don't drink or overindulge in alcohol. They protect their women, they command respect. And what do these other people do? They complain about them. They criticize them. We'd be a better world if we emulated them." And needless to say, many people found his words troubling. And my next guest took to Twitter to express his disagreement with Cosby. Former Congressman Alan West tweeted, quote, "Today in the New York Post, Bill Cosby said we should be more like Muslims. You mean honor killings, beheadings, suicide bombings? Hope you're kidding, sir." Joining me now, former Florida Congressman and director of NextGeneration.tv, Fox News contributor, Colonel Alan West. Sir, welcome back.
Thanks so much for having me on, Shawnee.
you can cut it off. Now, I don't know of any other high-profile black man that has ever just come out with such a positive statement about the Nation of Islam. He made sure America knew us as the Black Muslims, and even that piece that they did, when he said about Bill Cosby making positive statement about Muslims, he purposely said Muslims instead of Black Muslims. And Bill Cosby said the Black Muslims. That's us here in America. We were the Muslims he was talking about. How many times have I stood here and asked you, white and black people, if you think I'm an enemy to you or to this nation, come in and tell me that, and tell me why. If Bill Cosby was speaking up for me, and you don't like that, then you ought to be man enough to come in here and tell me what it is that I have done to you as a black Muslim. What do you find fault in that we teach or that we do? I speak for all of the nation of Islam that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad raised. I'm the one that comes after him to defend whatever it is that he taught that you disagree with. And I will not back up off of it. And I will prove to you that what he taught was nothing but the truth. You've been calling out everybody else and telling them that it's hate teaching and all that. How come you don't come in here and tell me that? You didn't challenge him. So I know you know better than to call yourself coming in here challenging me. I'm the one that he told you was coming after him. Now, so I've never heard a famous star in America come out with such a complimentary statement about the Nation of Islam as Dr. Cosby did. I remember I called, I had our publicist, the editor of our magazine, to contact Dr. Cosby's publicists, the people who handled his publicity. And this was back in, I think it was what, 2000, was it 2012, Brother Jamar, or 2014? I think it was 2012. Brother Jamar, are you there? Give him a minute. He's probably.
We contacted him in 2011, late 2011, and he came on in March of 2012.
Now, understand something. I've never met Bill Cosby personally. I'd never met him. The only thing I knew about Bill Cosby was what I saw on television when I was a teenager. Used to be rushing to see I Spy and all of that because it was unheard of for a black man to have that kind of role. It was somewhat comedy, but it was a semi-serious role. The man was him and y'all forgive me. The other actor, the Caucasian actor, his name was, come on, one of y'all help me out. Robert Culp, that was his name.
Yeah, Robert Culp.
Well, you heard me say it, so, I don't need you now. Anyway, Robert Culp. And he and Robert Culp, even when it first started, they had gotten a fight. When he first got on, it showed them fighting and, beating each other up. Both of them came up a little toe up because, I think that was to satisfy the audience that they, at that time, segregation and all that was going strong. And but Bill Cosby, he was a black man in a man's role. and being taken seriously. And that's something that we just didn't see back in the 60s. And so I always, when I looked at I Spy all the time. Whenever it was on, I was there. And so I grew to admire him because of the image that was out there. You'd be surprised if the effect that seeing someone that looks like you, a child, seeing someone that looks like him in a positive, manly, a young man, seeing another person that looks like him in a positive image, put forth a positive image that makes him proud. White people know about that. They know the importance of image. That's why most black men that you saw in the movies, they were jokers, clowns, butlers. They were put purposely in portrayed in an image of inferiority, always looking up to white people. And what effect did that have on young men, young black men, young black children, little boys? It made us to not want to be black, because everybody that was smart was white. And whether we realized it or not, that's why when I had a brother, not had a brother, I still have a brother, and I love my brother, but we used to make we used to kind of laugh at him, because Bernard, he went to school, and he he worked for white people and whatnot, and sometime he'd come home talking, and he would try his best to sound like white people, yes ma'am, and you say, here come yes ma'am. And but anyway, he didn't care. He just, and the average, that's what we used to say, you're trying to sound white, and even though most of us was walking around here trying to emulate white people, you ain't never heard nobody say, I'm stepping fetch. And we didn't pretend to be Amos and Annie and the Kingfish. Instead, we pretended to be, some Las LaRue or somebody. Y'all don't know nothing about that. But of them cowboys. Wasn't no black cowboys. And you saw a black man in a cowboy movie, he was usually some slave or runaway or something like that. All of the, Roy Rogers and and that's the image that we, My Three Sons, Make Room for Daddy, Danny Thomas. But everybody that had intelligence, and I used to envy white people. I thought all white people had beautiful stuff and, were smart, and their children, I used to wish my daddy was like Fred McMurray. You never saw him hollering at his children, chipping them. And I was a child. I didn't know that was an image that was being shown. A lot of those families, like the Nelsons and stuff, later on you found out that I think they said that Ozzie Nelson had an alcohol problem, and that their family was dysfunctional too. But that is not the image that was put out there. They put an image out there that gave the bulk of their people something to live up to. Image is very important. You see, it's just like I will not get on the television with you and our children looking at me stand up here in some old t-shirt and a sweatshirt and an old cap on or something like that. I'm not going to get in front of our children. They need to see dignity. When I was growing up, a lot of I never saw my dad improperly dressed. Even if he's working in the yard or something, he still put on clean clothes. He put, he always looked like daddy. And when he was out in the street, he carried himself. I didn't know he drank and all of that stuff until I got older. And I never saw him drunk while I was growing up. That kind of stuff didn't happen until we was all grown and out of the house. Then I saw him get tipsy and stuff like that, but never while his children was growing up. In other words, he kept his bad to himself, as all loving parents do. You learn that your parents ain't perfect when you get grown. It wasn't nothing that I didn't think my daddy and my mama didn't know. As a child, most children are like that. That's a blessing. That's what makes the children feel secure, and it's much easier to get their obedience when they think you know everything. That's all part of not stealing their childhood away from them. Let them have their childhood. When they grow up and really understand, they will realize how blessed they were to have a parent like you. Correct them when they're wrong, make them pay for it, and put something on their behind. They will thank you for it when they grow up. They ain't gonna care too much for you while you doing it. But they don't need you to be their friend. They need you to be their parent. You watch how they treat their friends, and you wouldn't want to be their friend no way. So, But anyway, Dr. Cosby, when maybe I told you this before. I think I did. Well, I'm telling you again, because the person asked me why I'm speaking up for Dr. Cosby. Why am I, they said, wasting so much time on that? This is not no waste of time. Ask them people on MSNBC and CNN and Fox News why they wasting so much time on Bill Cosby, slandering him. That's how you make slander stick. The only way to make a lie triumph is you got to keep telling it. And the person who knows the truth, you got to get them to be quiet and think that the lie gonna just go away on its own. Thinking a lie will stop on its own is like thinking that darkness will disappear on its own. Darkness don't disappear unless you bring some light. Dr. Cosby, not knowing me at all, knowing nothing about me, when we asked for an interview with him, his people first said that he was all booked up and tied up. They told us to check back. Brother Jamal, when did they tell you to check back? In February?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
Or January. It was January or February because we was getting ready for Savior's Day. And I think you called them back in January. And they gave you a date. After they told us to check back, they didn't just brush us off. When we checked back, they gave us a date. I was surprised. I was even more surprised when I called the number that they gave us, and Dr. Cosby, the one, answered the phone. And he was, he kind of set my I was a little apprehensive. I'm not going to say, I looked up to that man when I was a child. As far as I know, he's somebody, He said, well, you supposed to be the son of man, nigga. Yeah, I'm the son of man, but I'm a human being. I was just as excited. I was actually more excited to talk to him than he was to me. And he started off, he said, when I asked, I said, I'm calling for Mr. Cosby. He said, well, he's not in right now. I said, well, he told me to call. And he started laughing. He said, you got me. and right away, I relaxed. And he relaxed. He relaxed me. And you go and listen to the interview, and you will see that he talked to me like we have been knowing each other all our lives. I didn't even have to hardly ask no questions. He just started talking and sharing some things with me about his childhood and a whole lot of other things. And I came away not disappointed. You know what I mean by that? A lot of times what you see on the screen when you meet the person in person, it's a letdown because their attitude may be bad or whatnot. But when I talked to him in person, it left me with even more respect for him. And next thing you know, I'm looking at the news one evening and they tell me I said something about Bill Cosby. I said, Bill Cosby accused of rape. I said, what? I said, oh, man. And I said, So I left the news on. I'm waiting on them to talk about what they found with the kit and all of that. And, nothing. I ain't heard no rape kit done, no drug test done, and nothing. I said, when they gonna go on and tell us, how they caught him? Come to find out, they ain't caught that man doing nothing. He's got a lot of women coming out there accusing him, one behind the other, and all of them using the same excuse as to why they supposedly didn't report it. Because he was a powerful man. Which a red flag went up when I heard him say that. Because Christine Ruley tried to suggest Bill Cosby was a powerful man back in the 60s. Bill Cosby wasn't no powerful man. He had been given a break to be in a movie, into a situation, semi-comedy. He was breaking into TV. And she coming out there talking about he was a powerful man. So, what do you mean powerful man? Ain't no white woman get raped by no black man talking about I'm scared to report it. They report rapes that never happened. Like they're doing that, like they did that one. You notice, when I asked her, did Bill Cosby rape you? She said no. Then why did the news media accuse him of rape? So I said, no, I'm not going to leave that brother out there hanging like that. I'm going to keep up with this stuff. Now, I want to apologize to Dr. Cosby. You know, it's a lot of things that I didn't know about media. And, you know, I had to, you know, Allah had to reveal to me things from observation. I learned from observation, experience, you know, not just my own experience, but from the experience of others. Now, when they started talking about that story, it was many people doubting it. Even the way that the story broke didn't make no sense to me. Because they say it started as a joke. Rape ain't no joke. Hannibal Buress called Bill Cosby a rapist. He didn't call him assault. Hey, who's that coughing in the phone? Mute your phone. He got on stage and called Bill Cosby a rapist. What's wrong, brother? Okay. And they laid it on him. I said, what is that about? And Allah showed me right there. I said, are these people running game? And so I started saying, I didn't believe that stuff, and I just talked about it a little bit and moved on. Because I didn't realize that they were holding a court of public opinion. They know what you do they know what media does. If you keep hearing the same lie over and over and over, or people accusing a person over and over and over, people forget that an accusation, the average person thinks that an accusation, well, that's evidence to them. But that's because who is that I hear in the background? Look, brother, y'all manage the conference room and people that's got their phones off mute. I'm gonna put you out if you keep on. I hear you mumbling and going on.
So, man.
Yes.
I just muted the person, but they had to phone me about something to ask a question. But I'm watching the conference.
Okay, well, if they unmute their phone again and don't have nothing to ask me or whatever, just put them out. I'm not gonna play these games with these people.
Yes, sir.
Okay, mute your phone back. Now, where was I?
Time for the top.
We're talking about the media.
People say a lie over and over.
Okay. We're going to do a station ID, and then I'm going to go back to what the media knew that I did not know. The people who own media, they know more than I do about it. I mean, there ain't no sense in me saying I can't learn nothing from them.
You're watching W33BY, Detroit, Highland Park, Michigan.
FM 88.1 WHPR, Highland Park.
WVIE 107.3 FM Charlotte, Amalia, Virgin Islands.
Okay. So the media just, if you notice, the three big news medias, MSNBC, Fox News, and CNN, they were passing that story from one to another. When it first came on, I know it came on both of them together. I don't hardly look at Fox News, but because that's they nothing but a bunch of racists. I don't, the other ones, those are the supposedly the alternative ones. And but anyway, Fox News, CNN, all of them talking about Bill Cosby, bombshell, Bill Cosby, a rapist, and it came out from a comedian named Hannibal Buress. And next thing you know, Hannibal Buress, an unknown fella, got his own show now. Red flag went up on that. That was his reward. I don't know if he still got a show now, and let him make a little money off of it. After they, Judas had 30 pieces of silver. Later on, he was sorry for what he did when hung himself. But anyway, to let yourself be used to do harm to the reputation of a man who spent his whole life trying to protect the father image of young black children. Is a very, very low down act, of act that's almost unforgivable if you wasn't a dead man. But we have been used against our own people because of, when I say dead man, I mean ignorant. An ignorant man spiritually is a dead man. Because if you go to a man that's physically dead and ask him a question, he can't answer you. You go to an ignorant man and ask him a question, he can't answer you either. So we say they're on a dead level. And because he's dead, I admonish them, and I don't say it's unforgivable, but it is a very low down thing for you to let someone use you to hurt your own people. And you will never get the respect of any civilized man when they see that you are so disloyal to your own people. They know they can't trust you. But anyway, so I'm still answering that lady's question. So they keep trying to drag that man's reputation and name through the mud. Most of the people, as the young people say, dissing Bill Cosby on the internet, they done forgot that those people didn't start off accusing him of assault. They outright said he raped these women. He drugged them and raped them. And when they saw that that lie was falling apart, they just changed the lie and says that he sexually assaulted them. Huh? They have no proof of that. It's just stuff they're saying. When you ask them for proof, they try to gang up on you. You notice they don't say nothing to me. They jumped on Whoopi Goldberg when on The View, when Beverly Johnson come out there telling that story, talking about she took a sip and said, and she took another one. I mean, if it was something wrong with the first sip, what'd you take more for? That didn't make no sense. Then Whoopi at the end asked her, so Bill Cosby didn't rape you? She said, I don't think so. And Whoopi said, don't you know? Next thing you know, somebody done slid up next to that poor little sister and told her she want to keep working. She need to go and straighten that out. Next thing you know, Whoopi out there talking about, well, with all this evidence, I guess, I want to see him. I want to see him get justice if he raped all these women. That man ain't did none of them women. What's being done is that he's being raped by the media. And understand something. Those people who reading that prompter about what to say about Dr. Cosby and they are just the pawns. The people who own them stations, they the guilty ones. They the really guilty ones. They the head of it. I can't even get them to. I'm talking about them now. I ain't got no phone call from none of them saying, look, we hear you saying all of these things. We'd like to interview you, mister. Because you talking things you don't know. I must be talking things I don't know. They done been out here saying things that they supposed to know. And yet the other shoe ain't fell yet. They was sending people over there to try to get, somebody tried to get this woman to go get some of that man's, seduce him, get some of his semen, so that, I know what the rest of it was. They want to put some rape kits together and claim that they overlooked them and somebody dropped the ball or say, I lie, whatever they're going to do, and say, well, we found these kits and it does have his name on it, so we checking them now. I told you that I could be the best friend you ever had or the worst enemy you ever had. In the case with Dr. Cosby, I told y'all to leave that man alone. I know you lying. I done showed you that them women lying, the ones that I interviewed. And I did not go into that interview disrespecting them. I simply let them tell their story and ask them questions. A lie can never make sense. You know why? Because no matter how you made it up, A good listener is going to have some questions, and then you're going to have to leave the script that you've been rehearsing and answer the questions that your rehearsal brought up. That's why Hitler and them told him and said, look, the big lie, he said, always keep it simple. And that's the first mistake they made. They didn't keep it simple. You understand? They said, and every time, you notice, every time Miss Ruley tell her story, it's different. You know, think over yourself and be honest. I know that's like that's like telling the ocean not to rush to the shore. For some of y'all, tell you be honest. But if you would just be honest, you know that when something happened to you, every time you tell it, people, by the time you get halfway through it, if you done told a few people, they say, oh, you told me that before. You done already told me that before. How do you know you told them that before? Because you're telling them the same thing. The truth does not change. Because it is stabilized in your mind. You tell truth based on association. That's why when I tell you another thing that you will notice about when people telling the truth, they can't talk fast. When they lying, they just like Donald Trump, a motor mouth. Why? Because he ain't remembering nothing. He making up stuff. When you calling on memory, you have to think about what happened. You're remembering what happened, so you naturally have to go slow. Do you understand? If they try to fake like they remembering stuff, the lie, you're going to hear it anyway. Because it's not going to make sense. A lie never makes sense. It's like the first thing they start saying that didn't make no sense to them, they was white women scared to say a black man raped them in America. So they got an old saying, I might have been born yesterday, but it sure wasn't last night. Now, I want you to look at these videos here. Now, understand something. Christine Ruley is now in 2016 telling a complete different story than she told me in 2014 of November. She forgot the lie she told me in November of 2014. And that's what people do. When a person lies to you, let me tell you something. A liar making things up as you speaking to them. If you don't believe it, I tell you what, just relax sometime and do this. The police do it. They I look at TV. I watch things. In order for them to keep your attention, in order to get my attention on something, it's got to have some reality to it. I mean, I just can't sit up and look at a bunch of foolishness. But tell you what you do. Get with children sometime or get with anybody. And you don't have to let them know what you're doing. And when they tell you something, Listen closely, listen carefully. And then about you can wait till they get through. Wait about 10 minutes. Then come back and say, I didn't quite, could you tell me that again? If it was the truth, it's going to duplicate itself. If it was a lie, it's going to be different. It's very few people that have a photographic memory that way, that can memorize things without going over and over and over it again. So.
Hello, son-of-man.
Yes.
Good evening. This is Andrew. Thank you for taking my call.
How you doing, Andrew?
Good. Yes, I've called into your classroom before.
I remember your name.
I'm not a Muslim, but sure. Yeah, I'm not a Muslim, but I search for truth in things. So, with that being said, I pray for good things for you and everyone in your classroom.
Andrew, Andrew, before you go further, when I say a Muslim, actually what I mean is somebody who submits to God. So, if you submit to God, that's what Muslim means. So now you can call yourself, it's just like you got different names for doctors. They are called healthcare provider. They are called physicians. They are called doctor. But whether you call them doctor, healthcare provider, physician, you're talking about the same person. You're talking about the same field.
We're in agreement with there,
okay.
Regardless of
Bill Cosby.
I don't need you to say you're a Muslim for me to recognize whether or not you a person that believes in God. If you believe in God, we're going. There you go. Okay.
Tonight we're hearing from one of his accusers reacting to that.
Okay. So you had.
That's what you're talking about this evening.
A historic day here at the University of Connecticut as the Board of Trustees votes to take away Bill Cosby's honorary degree.
You don't have to try to tax yourself because the truth is already in you. All you got to do is just recall it.
Unanimous vote.
And it's based on things that happened. That's why you always find a truthful person. They have to talk slow because they are recalling what had happened to them. And sometimes they would say, just a minute, I'm trying to collect my thoughts on what they did this. You'll hear me sometimes ask Brother Jamar, look, was that in January or was that in February when that happened? And we will both come to some kind of agreement because it did happen. And I'm always, whenever someone is making an accusation that is true, they don't care. The more people that want to hear them, the better they like it. They don't pick and choose who they will tell it to because it's the truth. And there's nothing you can do with the truth. You can accept it or reject it. But you can't make a person a liar who is strictly telling you the truth. Because no matter what you ask them, the answer going to be coherent, and it's going to go along with what they've been telling you. You just can't make a lie.
Strong, yes. The truth is strong against any investigation.
That's right.
Don't like yet. Looking at the details, have something to hide.
That's right. That's right. That's why that's another red flag that went up. All them women got paid. The MSNBC paid them people's way. to come sit up on that stage. And the first question that they asked him was, how many of you believe that Bill Cosby drugged you? And most of them raised their hands. How many of you, then they asked, how many of you believe that Bill Cosby raped you? And most of them raised their hand on that. And that, there again, to the untrained ear and the untrained eye, the women seem to be okay and right. But to the trained eye and ear, you can't go in court telling people you believe that something was done to you. The court can't no jury find somebody guilty based on your belief. The truth is not a belief. Facts are.
Yes, if you and I were recalling a situation with somebody that we were, I'm not going to say I believe it. I was going to say this is what happened, right?
Right. If you ask me, do you believe that that man robbed you? No, I don't believe he robbed me. I know he robbed me. And I want justice.
And I'm laughing not because this is funny. This is horrendous.
Yes, and the majority of the American people has been duped into going for it. Because, you know, this, I want to tell you something, Andrew. The Congress of the United States has been infiltrated. And you look at the politicians now.
Yes.
You look at the politicians now. There's no way that the game that the news media is running on the American people now. They used to be the watchdogs for the American people. When Dan Rather, Cleet Roberts, and all of those, man, if the news media came up to politicians or whatnot, they got scared. They were very careful what they let fly out their mouth. And the news, they didn't used to have no commentary on news. They would report the news to the American people and give the American people the respect of that they have intelligence to read that report, understand that report, and make a decision about what it meant on their own. These people don't give the American people the news now. They give the American people a program and what they, yes, they tell you what to think. We gonna have our expert panel here this evening. Expert panel for what? They done dumbed the American people down so much. The educational system has become a farce. And they knew it. It's just like when they took corporal punishment out of the school. Any parent that's worth their salt knows that you cannot teach your child anything if that child does not fear to disobey you. That's why the book says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, the beginning of wisdom. Because if you don't fear the Lord, if you're not going to obey him. If I didn't fear my daddy, there's a whole lot of things I would have done that I didn't do because I was scared of my daddy. You know, I'd been out there talking crazy to grown folks or whatever if I wasn't scared that they was gonna go tell my dad and he's gonna put something on my behind. Because I saw other young men doing that, and I wished I could have did it. We had a little brother. his parents hardly ever whipped him. And we used to tell him, hey, Dwayne, go cuss him out. And Dwayne go ahead and cuss out grown people and do some everything. We just get a kick out of it.
No.
Well, you know, I mean, I know what boys do. I was a boy. You know, foolishness is bound up in the bosom of a child. And the only way to get it out of him is with the rod of correction. And if you miss his childhood, just like my teachers, I was a straight A student in elementary school because them teachers was like my parents. I messed up in class. He can bring me up there and give me some swats. And, you know, I'd go sit my behind down and get my lessons. And I wasn't going to go home and tell my daddy or my mama. Because the Parents Teachers Association, they really was that. Yeah, my daddy, the first thing I did, I didn't send you up there to get them teachers no hard time. Come here, I'm gonna see if I can help you, boy. He put something on my behind. Then I got beat twice. I'd be begging the teacher, please don't. You don't have to tell my daddy. I ain't gonna do it no more. And so I consequently, you know, like I said, when I was in elementary school, they sent me on Art Linklater's house party. So you know I must have been a pretty good student. But I was pretty good, not because I was a good boy. It was because my parents and the teachers made me be good. I was just a boy. And subject to get in, I talked about all of them behind their back. But when I got in their face, I shut my mouth. You know, we did all our big talk behind grown folks' back. You know, because if they say, hey, boy, what did you say? And I know what was going to happen then. I didn't say nothing. Yes, you did. Come here. And he put something on me again. So I learned to not mumble in their earshot. But Dr. Cosby, he's the kind of brother that, you know, once you talk with him and look at the history of what they were saying about Dr. Cosby, Eddie Murphy and all of them, and Richard Pryor, you notice they made jokes about him. And the jokes were not, I mean, it wasn't that the joke was bad. It's just that they was saying he calling them up, telling them they need to stop all that cussing and going on. And Richard Pryor, you know what Richard Pryor said. He said, when he said he asked Richard, Richard said, hey, think about it. Forgive him. Well, he didn't say that. But anyway, and so, you know, Bill Cosby, even Jewel Allison, she told me that Bill Cosby was talking to her and telling her she need to try to get out of modeling, get out of that. See, she don't realize that she told me what really happened when she was standing up in front of that mirror. Because she had told me that he had tried to tell her and others, you don't need to be doing this kind of work. And so she told part truth. Because he stood up in front of a mirror behind her and was looking at her. She said that. And he said, look at you. You're glowing. You're beautiful. And then she said he took her hand and put behind her and behind her back on his private part. But that wasn't the truth. What happened was, while he was talking to her, she put her hand behind herself and tried to touch him. And that's when he showed her the door.
I tend to believe that as well. We've
Yes,
talked
sir.
about this before when I called that.
Yes, sir.
He's a successful man, and a lot of these women wanted to be actresses or anything else, right? So,
Look,
I
man,
think a lot of them were after him.
you know Jimmy Walker? Jimmy Walker said.
I love Jimmy Walker.
Okay, Jimmy Walker, and I don't say this in a derogatory way, but when you look at Jimmy Walker and look at Bill Cosby, you know that Bill Cosby is more handsome. Jimmy Walker said he could get any woman he wanted just about. And he said Cosby could get any of them. You know, what man, as smart as he was, would be dumb enough to be going around drugging women? With as much money as he had. They got prostitutes that look like nuns. If that's all he wanted. I mean, and you know, I mean, I live in the real world, man. I know what goes on in this world, and you do too.
You know, people flock to celebrities, right?
Yes.
So there's women, you know.
You know, I mean,
I flock to celebrities, even
yes.
if the ugliest man in the world.
Yes, sir. If he got money, he look good. That's just the way it is. That's the way most people in this world. They money is the bottom line. You know, men and women. You know, I could tell you some things that I know, but I'm not going to get into all that. Everybody know that's the truth. Now, you want to say this man got millions of dollars and he going around trying to get women and mess over women and take a chance on losing all of that when he could have just went and gave them a few. The man gave $20 million to a school. Spelman. And then they, you know, I know what that's about.
How many of these accuser women would do that with their money? Huh?
Look, let me tell you something. Most of them women that accused that man, they was put up to that. It ain't just them women. Somebody behind the media that own these medias and everything. They the one put them women up to that. And Allah's going to punish them. That's why the book says, go to now, you rich man, and weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. You know, so, you know, Andrew, did you have something? Did you have something in particular you wanted to ask me, Andrew?
I was going to actually call in to talk about the Bill Cosby situation.
Okay, well, there's some things I want to show to people about that, so I want you to let's cut to that right now.
Yeah, and I enjoy when you show clips and comments.
Well, I'm about to show you all something now that I asked, and I'm asking all of you all that know something. If you're computer savvy, then download these things. If you got Facebook, if you got whatnot, put this out there, just like MSNBC and CNN and Fox News been spreading them lies. Let's spread the truth. And I'm going to tell you something. Look, man, I don't wish America ill. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this. He said there are white Muslims in America. I knew what he was talking about. Said a Muslim is a righteous person. When he said there are white Muslims in America, he had just got through talking about Chicago and how he was thanking the Chicago white people for allowing us to purchase the country club. And that country club had over 50 acres of prime land. And they let the messenger purchase it for a reasonable price. And he said, I don't think that we have nothing to do but to honor and thank them for putting us in such position where we could prove ourselves worthy of such position. He said, we thank them. Then he went on. He didn't just stop. You know, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught me that if the truth would upset the peace and cause innocent people to be hurt worse than a lie. He didn't say lie. He said, remain silent. So if he didn't mean what he was saying, he wouldn't have said it. And so he said, this is their house. Well, we was renting one of the buildings in Chicago from white people to have that Savior's Day in. He said, this is their house. And we are here teaching the truth. They're not objecting to you teaching the truth. As we have white Muslims in America, and lots of them. He said we have them all over the earth, and they recognize and respect you. You must recognize and respect them. Many people who claim to be followers of the messenger and claim to have been in the Nation of Islam, they conveniently forget the last Savior's Day address. But I learned a long time ago, even before I became a Muslim, I learned when I was in the military, you always follow your commanding officer's last order first. Because no matter what if you have been told to attack a country? Okay, that was your last order. Then you get a message, cease all hostilities. And you decide, well, he said attack first. If you don't cease hostilities, you disobeyed a direct order. No one fights a war that they don't ever want to end. The Holy Quran says, be not the aggressor. When they cease fighting you, you cease fighting them. So I'm not interested in fighting with you or your people, man. I just have to. I mean, they fighting a brother that out of all of the black millionaires in this country, I've never heard one speak up for me like Bill Cosby did. And I'm
going to pray for. I'm going to pray for Mr. Cosby for justice and serenity, and none of this.
Well, like I said, the scripture says, if a brother is destitute of food and clothing, and thou say, be ye warmed and fed, notwithstanding you give him not those things that he have need of, what profit is it? So I don't want y'all to just pray for him. If you have resources, if you have internet savvy, if you have the ability to spread the message of truth that we are presenting, I'm asking you to download it and ask others to watch it. Send it to those who are in the circle with you. And let's start going after justice, not just for one person. It's just like I understand the Black Lives Matter, but I always say to everyone, look, if Black Lives Matter, if you really believe that, then Black life has to matter. It's not enough to just be alive. That's called existing. If we believe that Black lives matter, then the Black lifestyle has to also matter. And once you really love your people, you won't just think Black lives matter. You would think all lives matter. Because that's the only way to make sure that your people are really safe. from other people is that other people have to know that they are safe from you. Now, all of us.
I'll let you continue your lesson.
All right. And
I'll get off the line here. I'm gonna watch the rest of your lesson tonight on the television. So thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir, Andrew. Thank you for calling.
Okay.
So I want y'all to view this, and I want you to download it. Now Now remember, now when you hear Christine Ruley with my interview, that interview that I had with her was almost 2 years ago. She forgot what she told me. But that's the way you catch a liar. A liar will always forget what they said. They forgot it as soon as they said it. That's why if you ask them to repeat the same thing to you, they can't repeat it word for word when they just told it to you. If you give them 2 minutes, they say, tell me that again. That's why Hitler, he told them, keep it simple. You can remember a sentence. But when you start getting into a paragraph, your lie gonna change. You can't remember everything you said. That's why songwriters, they have to write them words down. They can't remember all them words. Go ahead, brother. So I want you to listen to all of this. Drew, I want what that first one that I showed where she's talking about it again to that first report. Then play the one that Drew, the same way we played it last night. Put it in the conference now.
Sexual assault allegations against him. The Board of Trustees voting to take Bill Cosby's honorary degree from UConn revoked after 20 years. This is when he received that degree. Back in 1996, but after all those sexual assault allegations, but Bill Cosby's honorary degree from UConn revoked after 20 years. This is when he received that degree back in 1996. But after all those sexual assault allegations against him, the Board of Trustees voting to take that degree away. And tonight we're hearing from one of his accusers reacting to that decision.
News 8's Stephanie Simone has that story for us tonight. A historic day here at the University of Connecticut as the Board of Trustees votes to take away Bill Cosby's honorary degree. We spoke with one of his accusers about this decision.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
It was a unanimous vote and a victory for one of Bill Cosby's accusers, Christina Ruley.
Every time one of these degrees is rescinded, all of we accusers take notice.
She lives in New Hampshire and spent 20 years in Westport, Connecticut.
He's a monster.
You see how they just told on themselves? They call that a victory. A victory where? They ain't been to court. They're telling you what they're trying to do. They're defaming that man's character. That's called character assassination. But they they reinforcing that in your mind that them women done gained the victory. And what the woman said, and every time we hear something like this, we take notice. What you mean you take notice? Is that something that a person who has been wronged would say? That's what a person says when they wronging somebody and think they're getting away with it. She don't talk like a victim. She's speaking as a victimizer. Take notice of what? That it's working. We take notice. That's what she said. With her lying self. Play it, bro.
I went to his house. He slipped some drug in.
55, she was working at a talent agency. One of their clients was Cosby.
I went to his house. He slipped some drug into my drink. I passed out, found myself.
What happened?
Historic action, knowing sexual assault.
Did you cut it off?
I went to his house.
Oh, play it back.
He slipped some drug into my drink. I passed out, found myself naked in bed with him attempting to force me into oral sex.
Ruli emailed UConn student Hadia Ali after she wrote an article about Cosby in the school paper. Ali helped spearhead this historic action, knowing sexual assault is something her peers face.
I think that's why it's so powerful, is that this is not some abstract problem in the sky. This is something that women face every day.
She's one of the many students who voted in March to revoke the degree awarded at this graduation ceremony in 1996. It's the first time the board has done this.
It's critical that colleges and universities not only do all we can to promote.
She's one of the many students who voted to revoke his honorary degree. Based on what? Gossip and lies. This is this is a university that is making as big a joke out of the Constitution as Donald Trump is making out of the Constitution. They don't care what the rights are that is supposed to be afforded to every citizen. In a court of law, they say that the defendant is presumed innocent until the accuser proves the guilt of the defendant. What are they doing to Bill Cosby? He's presumed guilty until he's proven innocent. I done showed that the lawyer and every one of them women that I interviewed, I showed you them people is lying. But you don't care, do you? He that is unjust. Let me show you what's really going on here. You think that you? Let's see here. I want to make sure that all of you understand what's when it happens to you. I want you to understand why it's happening to you. You're not going to say that nobody gave you a chance. Just give me a minute, and I'm going. Okay, in the Holy Bible, in Revelation, the 22nd chapter, you may not be weeping yet, but you're going to weep. You're going to be gritting your teeth too, but that ain't going to make no difference. Because the chastisement that you're going to get is not going to be lightened. You do to other people what you would not appreciate people doing to you. In the Bible, it says, he that is unjust, it's the 11th verse of the 22nd chapter of Revelation. He that is unjust. You know, every one of them who voted to take that man's honorary degree that he had been given, every one of them, and every one of them people on that panel is unjust. What if a whole bunch of people get up and just accuse you of something? What would you think then if they're accusing you and all you could say is you didn't do it? Some of the people say, I don't even know these people. So that's what you have fallen to now. That's what all your so-called education has led you to. And then you wonder why I don't have no respect for your school and your school system and all of that stuff. Y'all are a bunch of devils. And you deserve what you finna get. He that is unjust, let him be that way still. Let him be unjust still. Do you realize what's being said here? The Holy Quran says, who is more unjust than he who forges a lie against the truth, against Allah? And he is invited to Islam. Or he says revelation have been granted to him, and ain't nothing been granted to him. Got nerve enough to be sitting up in your church or sitting up in your mosque. Here she calling herself a Muslim. And just so she can get a pat on the back, they put her out there. Why do you think the news media found her? You think they ain't listening to me? Why they go find some woman that's supposed to be a Muslim that's black? Voted to lynch her own brother. To lynch a decent man. Let me see, who else did that? Do you suppose it wasn't some so-called good people that were saying, let him be crucified? You remember when they asked about Jesus? They said, give us Barabbas. And they said, well, what about Jesus? What about the King of the Jews? Let him be crucified. Very unjust, huh? You see, after I came and spoke to you And I've proven to you again and again and again, you should have been demanding that them women come in here into this forum like they rushed into MSNBC and Fox News and CNN. It looked like they was just going everywhere. They don't even have to come nowhere to come in here. All they do is pick up a phone. Just pick up the phone. Ain't none of them showed up. And I'm standing up here calling them liars and some of everything. You would think they said that somebody would say, wait a minute. Look, Mr. Son of Man, or whoever you call yourself, I don't appreciate you saying that I'm a liar. Now, what is it that you're trying to say? Now, you want to question me? Here I am. That's what they should be saying. But ain't none of them saying that. Now, I wonder why. Because the one thing that's missing out of all of them shows, and they even call them shows, is nobody questioned the validity of anything them women were saying. And what is beyond me is why did Dr. Cosby's lawyers at that time that he don't have them no more. They actually were committing malpractice. You let them, your client get his character assassinated, maligned in the media. You don't go to the media and say, you got some proof of these things that you putting out there about my client? I'm going to sue you and everybody that you brought on there. Why didn't they go on there offensive? These people have nothing. But remember, I told you, in order for a lie to be successful, the truth has to remain silent. That's got conspiracy written all over it. So, he that's unjust, let him be unjust still. And you know what it says about the religions of this world? In Isaiah, the 64th chapter, it says in the 6th verse, it says, but we are all as an unclean thing, and all of our righteousnesses, meaning all our religions, are as filthy rags. Now, what did Revelation say? He that is unjust, let him be unjust still, and he which is filthy, let him be filthy still. He that have a filthy religion, let him stay that way. Why? Because the Son of Man is here speaking to you, and you yet. That's why I had to correct the young man just now and say, he said, I'm not a Muslim. Well, when you say you're not a Muslim, what you're really saying is you're not one who submits to God. So don't say that. If you're one who submits to God, that's what Muslim means. And I wouldn't boast to nobody that I'm not a Muslim. And it says, so he which is filthy, let him be filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me. Yeah, the truth is with me. to give every man according as his work shall be. Yeah. The Son of Man have authority to execute judgment. You know what a judge does? He sentences everybody according to their works. Then it says in the Holy Quran. Now, you see what's being done to Dr. Cosby, right? Bunch of people accused him of something. Take all of his awards away. Why are you taking them? Because these people are saying he did some things. Well, don't you think you need to wait and find out if it's true? No, we don't need to wait. Well, why not? We didn't want to give them to him in the first place. And he too uppity anyway. Huh? But now, do that to them. You'll find out how quick they and how much they really know the truth and hid it in the case of Dr. Cosby. Because if you did that, what they doing to him, to one of them, they would be saying you are being very unjust to me. I have not been convicted of anything, and these people are lying on me. And it's not a one of you who listening that wouldn't do that, what I just said. If a whole bunch of people, don't make no difference how many. So if a whole lot of people decide that they want to slander you or get you, how many people sitting on death row because false witnesses came out and accused them of something? Why do you think forensic and DNA evidence has changed everything? Because now you don't have to rely on just a person accusing somebody. Show me the evidence. If he was there ought to be some of his DNA around there somewhere. Huh? And if it ain't, I think that you may be slandering that man. Huh? Okay. I'm going to let y'all go in a minute. We're going to take a station break to identify.
For prevention and
FM 88.1 WHPR.
Bill Cosby's honorary.
You're watching W33BY, Detroit, Highland Park, Michigan.
FM 88.1 WHPR, Highland Park.
WVIE 107.3 FM Charlotte, Amalia, Virgin Islands.
Now, I want you to play that Drew News clip, because this is one brother who believes in trying to get justice. But before I play that, the Holy Quran says this: in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. This is chapter 83, and it's called Default in Duty. You know what man's duty is? In the 12th chapter of Ecclesiastes, and around the 13th verse, it says, then let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. For this is the whole duty of man. And when you default in duty, what you are actually doing is this is saying that you know your duty and you didn't do it. You failed to perform your duty. Now, why is that so important? Because the scripture says 6 days shalt thou labor and do all your wicked work. Why I say I put wicked work in there? Why? Because if it was righteous work, then wouldn't it said, but the Sabbath day shall be a holy day. Well, what was them 6 days? Unholy. And it says, but the Sabbath day shall be a holy day unto the Lord. In it thou shalt do no work. And whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day shall surely lose their mind, shall be put to death. Yeah. That's why you ain't got, haven't you noticed? Ain't none of y'all got nothing you can argue with me with. That's what the Revelator said happened when he saw me and met me. He said, I fell at his feet as dead. You can't form no argument against anything I'm saying, because it's all the word of God. He didn't tell me to come speak with my own personal words. He said, Son of man, take the book and eat it up and go and speak with my words unto them. So, when you default in duty, you don't fear God and keep his commandments. So what are they doing to Dr. Cosby? God's word said, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. If they have to take awards back from Dr. Cosby, then he was obviously a neighbor to them. Because Jesus said, when they asked, who is thy neighbor? And Jesus gave the parable of the Samaritan. And then he said, now which of these were neighbor unto him that had been beat up and robbed? They said, he that showed him kindness. Bill Cosby showed them kindness. And they bear false witness against him, slandering his good name. In the day where they were told, keep it holy. Default in duty. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. And you all been bearing false witness against every one of you that's guilty of that. And I'm going to hold you accountable too. You better correct yourself, and you better do it quick and in a hurry. Woe to the cheaters who, when they take the measure of their dues from men, they take it fully. And when they measure out to others or weigh out for them, they give less than is due. Nobody out of all them institutions, none of them have revoked awards they gave to Dr. Cosby for his good that he did to them. They didn't even give that man the courtesy of saying, look, until a court of law shows us that that man is guilty of anything. Ain't no sense in coming. That man haven't been found guilty of nothing. And from the looks of the women that came out there, I'm curious as to why the media would even bring that stuff to us in a one-sided story. They didn't even vet them women. vet their stories. Just whatever they wanted to come on there and say, they let them come on there and say it. Janice Dickinson got on there flipping the bird to somebody. Yeah? You know what they say. You know what goes around. Whatsoever a man soweth, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. All right. Play it, brother. Get it straight now.
I have another Bill Cosby bombshell to report that is big, but will never make the mainstream media. But before I release that one, I have to share another bombshell that the mainstream media will also never touch. You have to see this. Many Cosby defenders still get bullied, ridiculed, written off, and criticized. And that is because people don't really know what's going on, are being lied to, and don't ever get exposed to things like I'm about to show you. This one was brought forth once again by the Son of Man from the New Nation of Islam, who knows a lot of the Cosby accusers are lying because he, like myself, has been collecting information and watching this. He's interviewed many of the accusers and has many of their statements on record. And so he caught Christina Rulli in a bold-faced lie that she cannot retract at this point. You can't argue with this. She is out. I'll leave the link to his video below. In a nutshell, another Cosby accuser of many at this point that the media is still trying to hide from you has been caught in a serious contradiction live on television. The proof of many of the accusers lying is being shared all over the alternative media world, and it's a matter of time before they are exposed to enough people for all to see the media-driven witch hunt and sham this was from the start. Christina Rulli is another Cosby accuser with a suspicious and ridiculous story that got caught. Let me explain exactly what's going on now. When Bill Cosby tried to sue some of these women for defamation, they tried to sue him back strategically to maintain the public spectacle. It's all strategy. Unfortunately, many of their cases are being dismissed because they're playing with fire, and some of them are choosing to stand down, and now with Christina Rulli are withdrawing their cases before they get exposed in court. I feel some of these women know pretty darn good and well they do not want to end up in court to face cross-examination because their lies will be exposed faster. So most of them stayed back, and Christina Rulli, who initially filed the suit, withdrew her case. Now here is where you're going to learn just how evil, conniving, and committed to the scheme some of these women are. She's being helped and they're probably working together, and it's probably best for all that she withdraws her case. Christina Rulli withdrew her case, and she knew what that would look like. If you suddenly withdraw your case against someone mysteriously, it may affect your public credibility. So Rulli withdrew her case and decided to make a public spectacle about it, aided by the media so she could quote and explain the reason she withdrew her case on her own terms. However, the higher power works in mysterious ways, and I believe that power is coming for all those involved. Rulli, like many of these women, keep running on these shows, and some lose track of what they said. Listen to Rulli tell her story, and listen closely.
In the Bill Cosby case, one of his first accusers dropping her lawsuit against him, the 72-year-old woman from New Hampshire, tells us that she now feels validated.
She just broke her silence to WBZ's Louisa Moeller, who is live in Boston for us tonight. Louisa. Okay, David, in 1965, Christina Rulli says she was invited to a party at Bill Cosby's house with a comedian drugged and assaulted her, and now she feels she's finally discredited him.
Got up, threw up violently several times, and then remembering back, I remember now that I was so ashamed because my clothes were all off. And I was going, how did this happen?
Christina Rulli says it took just a sip of her second drink before Bill Cosby brought her drugged and unconscious into his bed.
I was so ashamed because my clothes were all off. And I was going, how did this happen?
We woke up, found myself naked in bed.
You heard what she said. Now listen to this.
And when I woke up, I was just too sick. You're correct. The deed wasn't done to me. But I don't know what happened while I was unconscious. But I was still clothed when I woke up. And I have been...
Oops. That ain't what she told the man just a while ago. She said she was naked. Now all of a sudden, but she forgot. She told me she was fully clothed. Listen.
Was at Cosby's house for a party. She says she took 2 drinks from him.
I blacked out, woke up, found myself naked in bed.
Found herself naked in bed. Now, let's listen to her.
Now that I was so ashamed because my clothes were all off. And I was going, how did this happen?
But I don't know what happened while I was unconscious. But I was still clothed when I woke up. And I have been interviewed on...
Now, you still believe the woman is telling the truth to you?
I report the truth. I'm not trying to spin anything. You heard it for yourself. She retold the story, saying she woke up, saw that she was naked, and said, "Oh my, how could this have happened?" That memory was strong and clear. However, listen to what she said clearly in another interview, long before that interview.
But I don't know what happened while I was unconscious. But I was still clothed when I woke up. I was still clothed when I woke up.
At least for this one, Cosby haters cannot even try to say a word. Christina Rulli is caught in a major contradiction. Christina Rulli is a liar. The jig is up, at least for her. She lost track of her own statements, and she got busted. The only reason Rulli should ever walk into a courtroom is for jury duty for someone else. And there's more. Listen to this nonsense.
But at any rate, he needed me awake because he wanted oral sex.
That is another sign of many that something wasn't quite right. Why is she leading the story with presumptions? He needed me awake because he wanted oral sex. This sounds like someone writing a novel. All in the mind and motive of the villain. Interesting. And as Son of Man pointed out, if he needed her awake, as she says, was after oral sex, as she says, and he was pressuring her to do it, as she says, why did he drug her then in the first place? Like most of these stories, the story makes no sense. Believing these things blindly with no proof decades later is entirely up to you. Then determined, she decided to go to court, but then suddenly decided, nah, I'm good. This is where the media is today. These women are being interviewed by professionals. And look what just kind of happened over the internet. We had a multitude of seasoned journalists who had these women right in front of them. And none of them pieced together a series of intelligent questions that could have revealed all of this. Because there is an agenda and they're protecting this. With many of these women they parade on the news, their stories don't add up, and this is embarrassing. What's worse is that she is not alone at all, and when these women get caught, they ignore it and hide it. And then when these things start leaking out and they start to feel that they're losing control of the narrative, they go on another media blitz, doubling down on Cosby, making titles like Game Over and so on and so forth. But if you read and investigate what is being said, it's fictional, exaggerated, old news rehashed, or has nothing to do with the current criminal case Bill Cosby was unconstitutionally dragged to court for now. To show you how bad America is embarrassing herself internationally. Bill Cosby has no convictions yet, and we are a country that pretends to believe in innocence until proven guilt. Regardless, the institutions of higher learning in America proceeded to strip Cosby of his honorary degrees, UConn being the latest to consider it. American institutions of higher learning that should teach and know and respect that a man is innocent until proven guilty. We're just stripping his honors without any convictions or confirmations in court, all based solely on tabloids, rumors, the media, and the word of these women. And with over 50 accusations through the media, but zero convictions, no evidence, and with at least some of them proof that they lied, you could never explain that or reverse it. Be sure to check out the other videos featuring all the other accusers caught in lies that have been aided and legitimized in the mainstream media. And stay tuned for the new video on its way exposing the current trial for the sham that it is. Myself included, many other people and content creators have been trying to expose these things, but we're being drowned out by a powerful agenda. Regardless, and despite what it looks like, the number is still growing, and it's going to be harder to keep covering these things up for long. And as far as Christina Rulli is concerned, yet again, another one bites the dust.
I don't like to see these other women who had similar experiences called liars and trashed in the media when I know that I can speak for them.
Oh, yes you can, Christina. Yes, you can.
So this is what I would like you to do, brothers and sisters who believe that if it was you, you would want people to not be hyped into finding you guilty based on gossip and not on evidence. Now, I want you to understand something. This next verse in the Holy Quran, after admonishing you about cheating and giving people less than is due, do they not think, this is the fourth verse, do they not think that they will be raised again? Raised again, meaning resurrected. Remember, the scripture said, as in Adam, all died. As in Adam, all lost sight of truth and righteousness and justice and started looking at evil, thinking evil was good. As in Adam, all died. In Christ shall all be made alive. Do they think that they will not, do they not think that they will be raised again? Their level of consciousness, where they would be raised up to the level that they would see that what they've been doing is evil. I'm showing them now. You notice, ain't nobody arguing with me about what I'm saying. To a mighty day. What's another word for mighty? What's the first word came to your mind? Mighty. Synonymous. Huh? Strong? What? What else? What else? Great. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the what? Great and dreadful day of who? Do they not think that they will be raised again to a mighty day? The day when men will stand before the Lord of the worlds. That's one of the titles that the scripture gives me. You think that's not true? Turn to Hebrews, the first chapter. It says, God, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, hath in these last days, you hear people all the time say, we living in the last days. Is that what they say? Hath in these last days spoken unto us by who? By his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, as in all things are delivered unto me of my Father. And no man know who the Son is but the Father, neither who the Father is but the Son, and he to whom the Son will reveal him. It says, hath in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made what? The worlds. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Why does it say without him? Because when I ate the book, I became the Word. Hence, Lord of the worlds. When men, the day when men will stand before the Lord of the worlds. Nay, surely the record of the wicked is in the prison. And what will make thee comprehend what the prison is? It is a written book. You see, I'm reading your record to you now. I'm judging you. And every one of you that takes part and have taken part in this unjust action against a man who proved to be a friend of God, you gonna answer. When Bill Cosby didn't know me, he treated me with kindness and respect. The scripture said, be kind to strangers, for some of you have entertained angels and were not aware of it. He didn't have the slightest clue that he was actually talking to the Son of Man when he was talking with me. And when he showed me the kindness that he showed me. But I knew. And as I told you, I'm a mighty good friend to have. And you couldn't find a worse enemy. Because I'm going to tell you something. If I'm your enemy, all of the angels are your enemy. And the God that you thought that you were serving, he's your enemy. David said it to you like this. He said, Lord, do not I hate them that hate thee? Who was David talking to? Come on. You can't say he was talking to Jesus. He was talking to the one who was told to eat up the book and speak with the words that's in it. The Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath day, of that mighty day. Lord what? Lord of the worlds. Whatever world he that's from above is above how many worlds? Above all. If I'm not, you remember I asked you a question? I asked you, why do you always see me by myself? When I was talking about how people always gravitate to their own kind. But you never see nobody hardly hanging around me unless they just passing through. Most of the time I drive cross country, I drive by myself. When you see me stand up to speak, don't nobody come before me to, I don't have ministers. So what does that tell you? You remember I told you to produce the man that you say is like me? I'd like to meet him. Show me the one that you say is like me. Because my first question is, if he's like me, then why you don't already know these things that I'm sharing with you? The scripture said there's none like him. And since you can't find no other men like me, then why don't you realize that I'm the him that it's talking about? He is one. And there's none like him. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten. The scripture already told you that. What if you shall see the Son of Man ascend up where he was before? If the doctor ascends up where he was before, where is that? The doctor came from the medical books. He didn't get the title doctor from carpentry books and whatnot. He got the title doctor from becoming proficient in the medical books. And he didn't do that on his own. He had to have somebody teach him that. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said he described something. He described the black man that he was talking about. He said, Islam is the black man's nature. And if you thought that all black men, that's what that's talking about, then my next question to you is, why do you need to be taught the understanding of the scriptures? You don't have to teach a fish how to swim. Throw him in the water. It's his nature to swim. Now, who taught me the understanding of the scriptures? Produce the one that taught me. You can't get that to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't teach me the understanding of these scriptures. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad woke me up to who I am and told me, now, if you want to talk to Allah, which is all of us, say you read the scripture. That's why he told me who my Allah. He said, we all are Allah. I know what he is talking about. He's talking about all of the holy prophets, the ones who, the messengers and prophets. I talk to them. You can't talk to them because you don't understand nothing they were saying. God works in mysterious ways. That's what you say. And the scripture is a big mystery. And every messenger of God, it was he brought a part of the mystery. And Jesus said, I am the way. Well, all of the prophets were the ways. They were mysterious ways. God works through people. And see, you couldn't have never put that together. The Holy Quran says that he directed himself to the heaven, and it was a vapor. You know what a cloud is? It's a water vapor. It's water vapor. The scripture is spiritual water vapor. He cometh with clouds. And if you should reject so great a cloud of witnesses that's bearing me witness, by what shall you be saved? Like I said, I'm not here to beg you to do nothing. I don't have to beg nobody for anything. And I'm about fed up with you. You'll see. Yeah. You from Missouri? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna show you in a minute. For all this, his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. That's what's written. All right. I'm gonna close early tonight. I want y'all to record that, pass it around on Facebook, pass it to people, and give them a chance to get out of that camp. Do you understand? You've been manipulated into helping destroy an innocent man, a decent man in his reputation. When I say innocent man, that man don't have no knowledge of that stuff they're accusing him of. People say, well, why don't he come out and say something? He already did. What do you want him to say? He already told you he didn't do it. He already told you that those women are lying on him. They slander him. They defame his character. And then they sue him for defamation of their character for saying that he didn't do what they said that he did and that they were lying on him. How is that defaming his character? Don't you know, if you can sue someone for saying that you're not telling the truth on them, then every time somebody goes to court and is accused of something and they say, I'm not guilty, they're not telling the truth. Well, how come they don't add that to the charges? The court asks you, how do you plead? Guilty or not guilty? If you plead not guilty, you're calling them liar. You're saying they're lying on you. It's nothing but one big farce. And everyone that take part in it, you're going to get what you got coming. Mark my words. I came up here to one of the brothers, his dad is not in the best of health. And one of the messengers' grand-nephews passed away. And I wanted to show respect for his family also. And I noticed that even those who had not actually accepted the messengers, to say they are Muslims, you could tell that they were his family. I was just, it was the way they made you feel being around them, and they were so, basically just humble people, and it showed, and I want to say, as I told them, how do you thank a man for saving your life? I mean, what words of gratitude can you say that actually thank somebody for saving your life. That man saved my life. And I never got a chance to go tell him thank you. And he told me, he said, you give me about 6 months. He said, I'll have you so smart. He said, and you keep coming back here. He said, and I will give you some untold truths. He said, and you will never be able to thank me for it. He meant, man, you will never be able to thank me enough when you find out what I gave you. And I can't thank him enough. So the only thing I could do is try my best to do for his family. If I hear about his family or his minister, his members of his household, I'll try to do whatever I can to do for them what he did for me. You see? So, do you realize that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's family was the first truly black family in America? It all started with him. He was the first man to refer to himself as an Asiatic black man. And the rest of our people call him crazy. Them old crazy folks over there. And now everybody in America, white people and black people, refer to the black man as the black man, and ain't nobody ashamed. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad did that. Yeah. You notice nobody comes in here and tell me, well, y'all call white people devils, and that ain't true. Hey, you don't come in here and tell me that ain't true. I don't say things I can't prove. I'm not a parakeet. So I'm going to let you go now. And I hope that you will recognize the injustice that's being done to a man who in his heart cares about our people. Let's not help them do that to him. Let's not help the wicked perpetuate their wickedness on our decent-minded men and women who would dare to stand up for us, and then we turn our back on them. No, we don't. I'm not going to turn my back on somebody who tried to stand up for me. You know I'm not lying, because when everybody else was talking about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was somehow trying to justify that he was not really a messenger, and that he was a social reformer, and he was not teaching true Islam and all of that, but he gave us something for the time that he was giving. You ain't never heard me say no foolishness like that. You can't find nobody that can say that I ever denied the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or what he taught me. For if you deny what he taught, you denied him. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, if one word of what I'm teaching is a lie, he said, then it's all a lie. You don't get some truth and some lies from God. God's word is all truth. And if a man represents God and is giving you what he say he got from God, if you call him a lie, You calling the God who sent him a lie. Do you hear any white people coming in here saying that, to me, that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told a lie? Do you hear any of these Negroes that was running around? I used to call them like that. So if you was black, you got that from us. You got that from the Muslim. And then you reject us while borrowing our knowledge? I'm not going to let you get away with it no more. No. No. You're going to answer for your hypocrisy. You call yourself black people, but you still act like a nigger. I came up here to also meet the man who's going to put the stucco on the outside of that tire facility. And it's costing us, quite a bit of money for us. But the Unity and Rebuilding Fund, we got half of it already. It's going to cost $24,000. It's a little over $12,000 in there now. I told the man, go and get started. We going to finish that building. It's taking some time. Well, it's going to take some time because I don't get the help that I need from you. But it's going to get done. So I would like you to help me to help you. What do you think I'm trying to take from you? I don't live up here. I live in Mississippi. What am I taking from you? I chose Detroit because Detroit was the first city that showed me any kind of real courtesy. The people in this city. So yes, I'm going to help. I want you to help me to help Dr. Cosby too.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
The Vishy Muhammad's on here again leaving comments, and he says, what about the Andrea Constant case that Cosby settled out of court?
That case, they suing her and wanting to get that money back because what Dr. Cosby had did, him and her had some kind of affair. And he was, to keep her from going public with it, he made an out-of-court deal with her. It wasn't for no rape. He was trying to keep it. He was trying to keep that affair from, from his wife. I didn't say Bill Cosby was a saint. I said he's not guilty of what they're accusing him of. And Mr. DeVisi, if it was you, I wouldn't help him lynch you either. You know why? Because if it was me, I wouldn't want nobody to do that to me. I would hope that somebody would say, hey, wait a minute. I may not like this brother, but you're going to have to give me something more than just these people come up here making these innuendos and giving excuses why they didn't go and get a doctor's report or whatnot. Being scared, telling my that man was too powerful or whatever. That man wouldn't even know you went and got a report. And if it proves that something happened to you, it ain't you that's going to be confronting him, it's the police. Then everybody who might have been backing him, when they see evidence that he did a certain thing, they're going to start backing off anyway. Huh? But I mean, even with with Bill Clinton when him and the Monica Lewinsky had that little rendezvous or whatever. That didn't get no rise out of me. You know why? Because she kept the dress with the stuff on it, which told me that was planned. And then when she brought it out, then she accuses him of dragging her name through the mud. The man didn't force her to do anything. She seduced him. And contrary to popular belief, I know better. Women choose men that they're gonna be with. Don't know man. I mean, you hit on her, and she can tell you to agitate the gravel, man. I mean, that's just the way it is. I learned that in junior high school. You can't make no woman do nothing. If she with you, she chose to be with you. If you think you chose her, you living in a dream world.
Excuse me, Tony.
Yes.
DeVissy just left another comment, and he says that's not what the court record says.
Well, you think what you want of Mr. DeVissy. I'm not finna go back and forth with you because I think you was insulting me the other evening, and you about close to it now. So I don't, that man ain't did nothing to that woman. That woman flew to New York and everywhere else with Dr. Cosby. And she ain't never. How do you tell me that? Now this is her own words. He gave her some pills. She says she took them and said, "Now I'm gonna trust you." What is that about? You just don't know. I didn't grow up in no vacuum, man. I grew up. I wasn't no. Once I got old enough, I stopped going to church. I started running with the brothers. And I'm the first one to admit that I ain't been no saint. There ain't no sin in me lying. And we used to go to parties, and you talk about Quaaludes, you talk about Red Devils, you talk about Sycamore, you talk about Benny's, Whites, we call them, Reefer, all that stuff in the 60s and 70s was plentiful. And everybody was partying, and even though I didn't do drugs, I was, I just didn't want no drugs. I didn't want nothing in me that I didn't know how I was gonna. So I drank, and I smoked a little reefer once and didn't like the way it made me feel. And I promised God, I said, if you let me come down this thing, I'm gonna do that no more. So I didn't like it. Just looked like it was moving from one part of my body to the next, and I couldn't keep what they call tripping. I didn't like that. So I drank some alcohol or whatnot. But we used to go to parties, and we be getting high, girls be getting high with us. Now I don't know who you think you talking to, but you take your little song and dance, your dog and pony show somewhere else. So I don't buy that stuff. I know too much about what was going on back then. You want to say that man, you want to treat Angie, what's her name, Miss Constant, like she was a child. If she took those pills, she knew exactly what they were. And she knew, according to her own words, that he had put his hand on her leg before. And she didn't say take it off. She said she got up and walked away. And then she still kept coming around him. So I don't want to hear that. Now you think what you want, boy. Now I suggest you, since you one of them people who just want to lynch this man, you better get on out of here and get on out of my face. Because I really don't want to hear it from you. You know, I hate unjust people. And I'll tell you something else. That record that was sealed was agreed to by both of those people. That judge didn't have no right to unseal it without both people's permission. That was a deal between Angela Constant, or whatever her name is, and Bill Cosby. And that judge gave himself away when he said, well, he's going around being a moralist. Oh, you mad because he's trying to teach morality to his people? You remember the scripture says that perilous time shall come when men shall be fierce haters, fierce despisers of those that are good. He's upset because Bill Cosby was being kind of like my daddy. My daddy, he had faults, but he was always trying to tell us the right thing and what we should and should not be doing. So I guess he was a moralist too that had issues. But Bill Cosby was pretty good at keeping his issues to himself. And I'll tell you something else. They've had people that came to the police and confessed to murder. You know what the police did? They didn't buy their confession. They didn't take their confession and say, well, we're going to have more than just you saying you did it. They say, explain to us what happened. They if you want to confess, fine. But we want to make sure that you ain't confessing because you silly or whatever. Explain to us how it happened. How'd you do it? What'd you do it with? What I don't understand is if you took a deposition from Dr. Cosby and you say you're going to use the deposition against him after telling him that there would not be anything done to him in the way of prosecuting or trying to attempt to prosecute, because they didn't have no evidence, no way, for what they were accusing him of. You say he drugged her. He did not drug her. She says she took some drugs after he gave them to her. That's like accusing the pharmacist of drugging, or accusing the bartender of getting you drunk when all he did was served you a drink and you drank it. What you think I am, crazy? But you see, your evil mind makes you always, that's what an evil mind does. It looks at evil and tries to justify it to condemn goodness.
Excuse me, son,
Yes.
The Vissy is here leaving comments. Did you want me to read it?
Is he cussing?
No, sir.
Okay, what is he saying?
He says,
This ain't, wait a minute. Is this one of them people that I cast in hell?
I don't think he cast him in hell.
Okay, well then don't never. Once I cast one in the hell, I ain't never gonna speak to you no more. Okay. Well, he's not gonna hold us in here all night. I talk to him when I come back on. He can save his comments for then. We out of time and we about to go off the air here. So I will take this up again Sunday. And then he can come in and sit around, and if he got some sense, I will discuss it with him. Because I am going to be discussing it again. I'm not finna let them do this to Dr. Cosby. So, and find out if DeVisi is black or white. I want to know that too. All right. So, until then, that name don't sound like a black man. And if it's a white man, I ain't never heard nobody named DeVisi.
Yes, I believe he's a follower of Minister Farrakhan.
Well, if he's a follower of Minister Farrakhan, then, why don't he go and listen to Minister Farrakhan? What are you doing in my forum? Making mischief. So, I'm through with this for tonight. So, may Allah bless all of us who have a sincere hunger and thirst for righteousness and truth. May He bless us all with peace. May Allah's salam alaikum.
You're watching Detroit's own WHPR TV. Detroit Live. You're watching W33BY, Detroit, Highland Park, Michigan.
FM 88.1 WHPR, Highland Park.
WVIE 107.3 FM Charlotte, Amalia, Virgin Islands.